All right, we are back here, guys. This is book section number 1, and Trevitt is going to kick it off with the new X-Men color-coded book, X-Men Red. So, Trevitt, take it away.
Ooh, I'm doing X-Men Red.
Oh, you want me to do it? It doesn't matter. I did it once already, so I thought you wanted to do it here. But yeah,
I would have. I figured you were gonna do yours because I did notes for Adam Warlock because I figured just since you did it already, we might as well just roll with it.
Well, I got him right here. So here we go. I'm doing X-Men Red this week. X-Men Red written by Tom Taylor. 2 artists whose names I'm about to just straight up butcher. Mahmoud Asar and Ive Sorsina. I don't know. Something like that. I'm with them until the Cena at the end. I feel like it should be pronounced differently, but Sorbsina, I guess. Again, it's a Marvel
Colors and Guardians.
Oh, okay. It's a Marvel Comics production, and we got Jean Grey's first team effort in a long while here. So we're going to get into the solicit and run down the events here for you guys. The first sensational arc of an all-new team of X-Men starts here. Jean Grey is back. Returned to the world she doesn't recognize, the First Lady of the X-Men gathers an unlikely team, Nightcrawler, Namor, Laura Kinney, and her counterpart, Honey Badger, to face an evil that threatens to tear down Xavier's dream by any means necessary. So pretty broad here, and we're going to get some answers as to who that evil is by the end of the issue, which is pretty good. But anyway, yeah, we start things off here in kind of a ice cold opening. You tune in on some girl. We're not supposed to know who this girl is, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I thought maybe she was somebody I'm not familiar with. There's so many mutants in the world that have names and have been featured in an issue here or there that I was like, maybe I'm missing who this is. But some Asian girl looks like she wakes up from her sleep because people are beating down her door with torches. So she kind of, shimmies to the window, sneaks out, and has to take the jump of faith from the roof to the ground. Kind of takes a hard spill while she does so. And it's enough time for all these kind of scumbags that are chasing her with literally shotguns, guns, and torches on fire to really corner her. So yeah, it's not a good scene. It's reminiscent of, obviously Charlottesville in the news comes to light kind of a little bit. And then even this girl's mom is against her, I guess, at this point. Because she's pissed off. She's an abomination in her mother's words. So her mother even has a gun pointed at her. And everybody starts, I know, it really is, starts opening fire on this poor, this girl can't be more than 12 or 13 years old. Like, she looks prepubescent.
She does. She could be small for her age.
Yeah, I guess, something like that, developing late in the game. But thankfully, Jean Grey arrives just in time with the rest of the X-Men Red team already assembled here, and she puts a stop to all the bullets. They kind of circle this little girl in a perimeter type style and pick her up, and Nightcrawler bamps her and the rest of the team on out of the location to a few different places, ultimately to what I think is a base down in Atlantis. Is that what? Or are they just in an aquarium?
That's exactly what that is. It's in a base in Atlantis. I thought of reading this opening scene. Like when I first read it, I was like, oh, okay, like these people want to kill their daughter because she's a mutant. And then when I see the mother pull out the gun and the father, like they just put her to bed a little while ago. Like they weren't planning, it's kind of weird. And then when you see the opening where it says the opening narration where it's like, they say you can't control what a person thinks, you know what I mean? And I thought I thought it was Jean Grey the first time going around, but it's the person who shows up at the end. So I realized her being in her new costume, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, all of them being in their new costumes, and after what happens, like this whole entire craziness is the bad person making these people do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mom pointing the gun at the daughter. So
yeah, and it's also kind of a prequel to the events that start occurring after this title page, which is kind of like your second hint that
Yeah.
These people are obviously influenced by something and somebody. So yeah, after the giant title page with the team name X-Men Red on it, and your artists, your writers, all that jazz. We flashed to 2 months earlier, and we're in Roosevelt Island, New York City, and we immediately witnessed the events of this carjacking. It looks like they're in front of like a BMW Jaguar type car. These two masked, just ski masked villains, and they toss this poor lady probably on her way to work, out of her car, literally toss her out, take control of the car, and they realize, oh shit, we fucked up. There's a baby in the back seat. So this baby, obviously, scared shitless, starts crying. It's wailing, and the cries obviously reveal that it's a mutant, because as these guys are driving away, they start grabbing their ears, and all the windows around, even in the skyscrapers all the way up, are shattering. So glass is blowing everywhere. And at this point, X-23, and I don't know, people call her Wolverine now. I always call her X-23 still. She's with Honey Badger at this point. Yeah. And she comes storming to the rescue, tries to put her hand over her. This is a funny part to me. Over the baby's mouth while it's wailing, And this baby mutant, and obviously it's going to be powerful, because usually your powers don't develop till a later age. So there's something up with this baby. Blows like everything but the bone off of her hand. So she's just got a skeleton looking hand. And then the baby starts even crying louder, because obviously it just witnessed somebody's hand vaporize, probably a little bit into its mouth. And the screams send these two flying up in the air, Honey Badger and X-23, I mean. And thankfully Jean and Nightcrawler are in the area. I don't know if they all came together, or they just kind of arrived at the call as well. But she saves X-23 and Honey Badger as they fall, and ends up being the one kind of rescuing and comforting the baby. A little help of I always want to say psychotic, but that's not it. Psychic, like suggestion planted in the baby to kind of control its powers while it develops and can. Come a time when it can responsibly use them, and she lets the mother know that she did this, and come find her when you're ready to have the child. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, really. It's just a bald baby. Starts developing. That's really what all goes down here, and poor Laura's just holding her hand at the wrist in the final panel. We flash forward then just to like the next scene, and it's a Dark Knight-esque newscast going down with two alternating news reporters talking about the incident, one of them just being a hard time douchebag and fully on board of pretty much killing mutants if they can be found to be mutants while they're in the womb, like just flat out, that's what he advocates for.
Yeah. Abort them.
Yeah.
Get rid of them.
Only if they're mutants, though. He wants to develop a test to find out if babies are mutants, and if they are, kill them. And I don't think that's really going to work, because they don't even know that really until they're 13. I guess the gene, though, right? The gene is different or something.
Yeah. They could do a blood test and see if they carry the mutant gene, so they know. Yeah, they know when in the future they'll have the X gene.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope, though, because some of them have like the latent X gene and never develop. You know what I'm saying?
I like to think that if mutants really existed in the world we live in, that people would be having this conversation on the news. Like, what are we gonna do? We got like gods walking around our planet. They could walk through a bank. They could blow up our heads with their mind. I don't want to walk around with that.
It would be crazy.
It's crazy.
So, Jean is obviously watching this newscast, which is why we were shown it. And she's kind of takes a moment to reflect and go up in the sky, and how she doesn't recognize the world really. And what's her next step to go on saving it. It really is a Superman moment. I didn't even think of that, really.
Right? Because she's like up there listening to everybody's pain and
just in the sky. Superman usually does it when it's sunshine, though. Like she's in the dark. It's a pretty cool picture. Then she goes to travel a little bit around the world, and get different ideas from different people. kind of really a bunch of no names until she ends up hitting Wakanda and has a discussion with Black Panther, kind of sowing the seed for, the eventuality that will come towards the end. Black Panther helps her gather, the brightest minds around the world, Nobel Prize winners, doctors, and such. And she basically mind links everybody and tries to come up with a peaceful way to come up with a solution to this kind of ominous plan we don't really know much about yet. She has a discussion with Kurt, Kurt lets her know that, he's always going to be on her side. And even when, how much the world changes, they kind of still have the same goals, even after all these years. That brings us finally to Atlantis, where she ends up visiting Namor, who's just sitting there all spread eagle with his legs. He ends up
Speedo on.
yeah, he's just got a Speedo on, spread eagle, sitting on the seashell. So him and Jean have a discussion. It's classic Namor talk. He's a cocky son of a bitch. But Jean ends up kind of talking. We find out shortly him into what she wants to do and gets him to agree and go along, because the next thing we see is Jean at the United Nations. And she's advocating for basically the United Nations to recognize the mutant nation, even though they don't have a singular place where they all gather. And she recognizes that's not a great idea anyway, because, every time they do that, they end up almost being exterminated, or, people have a problem with that as well.
Every time.
Yeah. There comes to be, point for chime back, and one lady from, shout out to all the great UK listeners, but the UK advisor chimes in and is kind of against this idea, but gets outvoted, mainly because of Wakanda and Atlantis support this idea. So I guess going forward, I don't know if it was final after this meeting or not. The mutants will be recognized as participants in the United Nations. Kind of cool development. So then we rendezvous to outside the United Nations building, I guess is where they were at. And Jean is talking to the ambassador for the UK, who objected to her idea. And I think what this lady says at first, unless I misread it wrong, was that she just was doing that for show, right?
Yeah, she was posturing.
Okay.
Just to
yeah.
Keep up
and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, at least it seems like out of nowhere, there's a reason for it by the end of this book here. Out of nowhere, she starts doing a whole pretty much 180, going about face, and even she gets uglier, literally gets uglier.
Evil looking.
And her head basically just explodes all on its own. Now, everybody around the area, cameras and everything, are witnessing the talk between these two. Starts flipping out because they think Jean did this to her. So
she's even pointing her hand at the woman's head while it's exploding, so it looks like
do herself any favor with how it all looks and goes down. But obviously the police and the security in the area start responding and firing on the X-Men, and pretty much the entire red team is present, except for the two people I really don't know.
The Trickery and Gentle.
Those two. But yeah, so that all occurs, and Nightcrawler springs in to save everybody with a quick bamf out of the area. And that's when we finally see our villain, who's revealed to be Cassandra Nova, who now you get the hint was responsible for all the fucking terrible things that went down. But the X-Men are sitting there with shitty looking faces. Jean's got blood going across her face, and they're all sad because now they're apparently wanted criminals, based on the events that have been caught on tape. They seem responsible for. So that's how the issue went. I already kind of shared my thoughts. If you guys listen to Weird Science, and we come out after them, so this might be spoiled a little bit. I didn't hate the issue, but I don't know. Here's what I'm sick of for X-Men books. I'm really sick of the mutant human thing, and this one was told much better and organically than it gets thrown around here and there in X-Men Gold. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
that point we talked about, I don't know, yesterday or the day before, but I don't know. I really thought this was going to be like an X-Men book to kind of invigorate the line with some new ideas and do things a little different. And I guess I didn't get what I wanted here. And I kind of wanted some more answers. I don't know if there's one more issue with Jean Grey coming or not. Like she ran into herself at the end of the Phoenix or the Jean Grey issue we read last week, and I thought that was kind of gonna pick up a little more fresh, or more recent from those events, kind of continue the Jean Grey line and story in this, and I didn't get that, so I was a little disappointed in that regard, and you know the issue is oversized, so it's a $5 number one Marvel, which isn't a strange thing they do. They do that for a lot of their number ones, but just a little too talky didn't get me into it right away. So, I mean, I will check out future issues, but I would say number one, especially with the price tag, is a borrow for me right now. You know, and I have hope Tom Taylor will do better. I was really interested in the two guys. I had no idea who the fuck they were, and they were only in literally one panel of this comic. So,
yeah, in the beginning.
Well, I'm kind of interested to see what they're all about. But
one's a brand spanking new character, the girl, Trinity or whatever. She's brand new, yeah. And Gentle's not brand new. Oh God, I had his info. I looked him up when he was first announced.
I was gonna do them for the midpoint facts, but they played so little of a part in the issue. I was like, well, we'll probably do this book again somewhere down the line, and we'll do them when they're actually in the issue.
yeah, I'm sure that'll be coming. I got exactly what I wanted out of this issue. I thought it was exactly what it was, which was see, I think I didn't expect to get that Jean Grey moment from after Jean Grey 11. I don't even know why that was. I mean, I know why that was put in there, so they could kind of make it feel like it was connected to Resurrection or something.
It might be in blue.
Number 5.
She's still in blue, right, or no?
Yeah, she's still in blue. Okay. But the thing about that is they're off in space right now, so I don't know when that's gonna, because they just got back from a time travel mission, and like their timeline in blue, I believe, is ahead of everything that's going on now. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Gold, I don't know where Gold is. I don't really care.
I haven't read that book in forever.
Yeah. So when Resurrection first started, it was like supposed to be like a return to form for mutants and the X-Men and whatnot. And if anything, I don't think I've ever read an X-Men book where like the mutant human fighting shit wasn't a big deal ever. Like I'm reading X Factor still right now because it's like 120 issues. And that's like a big theme through that. It's like big themes in X-Force and everything. Every X book, that's like their number one theme because that's who they are. You know, the world just scared the shit out of them. I don't know why. Like they're just scared to shit of mutants. They're not scared to shit of superheroes.
I know. It's a little kind of
I guess because like
gap in logic there, I guess. Although it happens occasionally. Because, Civil War and stuff.
Yeah, like Inhumans freak regular people out. Not as bad as mutants, but Inhumans normally live on the moon, or they live in their own city far, far away, or in the sky where like nobody really sees them, and didn't really become a problem until Black Bolt let go of that Terrigen bomb. And mutants, like the thing about mutants is like anybody could be a mutant. Your next door neighbor, some people next door have a baby that's going to grow up to be a mutant. So it's like anybody could be a mutant and you don't even know. And they're not all heroes. Half the time they're usually assholes or terrorists or people try to take over the world, and you know, they get treated like shit all the time growing up, and you know, people are racist against them. So it pretty much makes sense there why they are the way they are, but it's still kind of crazy. So I really like this book. I love the new character designs. I love the suits for like Nightcrawler. It was kind of like a play on Nightcrawler's suit, like his original suit, but a little bit tweaked. Namor's suit was dope. Gabby's suit's a little bit the same. Wolverine, aka Laura X-23, whatever, her suit's pretty dope. Different than the one she has now, that complete bulletproof armor that covers her whole entire body. Now she's got like short sleeve suit. I've seen some. I like the jean suit. I think it's the coolest version of her suit I've seen, especially like with the way her head is covered, like in that it's kind of like that 90s costume feel. A lot of people I've seen online some people love it, some people hate it.
I just
Liked the
don't like the
handling of
belly logos. I like the look. I don't like the
the
belly logo.
the handling of the mutant human conflict is probably the best I've seen, rather than like when we said in X-Men Gold, it kind of just gets thrown around, but not too much happens. I guess Guggenheim, I read this week's issue, and I guess he's exploring that more now, but like he's exploring a storyline he set up in the first issue, but that he hasn't really talked about since then, kind of. So, but this issue handled it way better. The appearance of Cassandra Nova gave it a lot more legitimacy, like when it comes to the opening scenes. Like the first time I read it, I'm like, why are these people so mad? And then the second time I read it, after I finished and realized that those boxes of the pink and black were her like her narration, her inner dialogue, I was like, okay, now that makes sense. She's controlling these people because this issue time jumps like in 3 different time periods. Yeah. So when we're seeing her save that little girl, it's already well after the world thinks that Jean blew that woman's head up. So, so that's who they're fighting. She's trying to make people, like, whatever her plan is to make people hate mutants and want to exterminate them even more, it's working. And that was a big theme with her and Morrison's run. So it really did feel back to basics. Jean pretty much just carries on Charles's dream from like Morrison's new X-Men, like where she was and where she wanted the world to be in that book, which was right before she died, is pretty much where she is now. So she's pretty much picking up right where she left off from when she died. So she's continuing her mission that she had. So, and they dealt with Cassandra Nova in that run too, with Master Mold and all the crazy shit that came along with it. Good run to read till the end where it falls apart. Mahmoud Asar's pencils were really good. I enjoyed them the most that I've ever enjoyed them in any book. Like I think it was some issues of Totally Awesome Hulk and a couple of issues of another book I can't think of right now because you don't see him do too much lately. I see him like fill in here or there, but I've never seen him have like a long run. But most of the time when I've seen him, I didn't really like his art that much, but he did bring his A game to this book. Like he had some sharp pencils for the most part. His scenes had a lot of clarity that made the art easy to follow, especially in the action. I loved the colors. They were really well balanced. They gave the clothes, hair, the people, like everything had like great texture. I liked how the tones were a little muted in a lot of scenes, except for, so it kind of like really made you focus on Jean because Jean's hair was like bright red and it would stand out from everything else on the page. So when you're reading that page and Jean's doing most of the talking, you focus on her, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. I enjoyed it a lot. It was everything that I wanted it to be. And I can't wait to see what happens in the coming issues. And I didn't know it was going to be like 33 pages. I was pleasantly surprised by that. And it kind of had that like Quentin Tarantino starts at the end, ends in the beginning, and then the middle splits up between the middle, the beginning, and the end in timeline sense. You know what I mean? Because when they went after that baby, that's like right after they get out of the United Nations, and now she has Gabby and Laura with her, and Namor is already and Nightcrawler, and well, I guess we'll see in the next issue when she picks up Trinity and Gentle. So I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a buy for me.
All right, so we got X-Men Red out of the way. We're going to move on to Spider-Man Deadpool 27. So disclaimer here because I got a little excited. I thought 27 was a continuation of 26, which was a part 1. As Spider-Man and Deadpool as old guys, and I read 26 and it was a good story. So I was excited for 27 coming up. I didn't really look at the solicit or the cover. And if I would have, I would have known because the next one is Area 14 part 1. Kind of a continuation of the other story that started during Legacy. And this one I didn't enjoy as much as I did the previous issue. So we'll get into this bad boy here. I'm going to give you the summary of what's previously happened instead of the rundown so you can kind of figure out, instead of the solicit, so you can figure out where we're at here. And this might be the longest art team on a book I've seen in a long time. So bear with me here as I get through everybody. But yeah, this is Spider-Man Deadpool 27. Writer is Robbie Thompson, and I usually like Robbie Thompson stuff, especially Spider-Man stuff. Pencilers, Chris Botchlo, Scott Hepburn, and Marcus Tu. And then we got inkers of Live Say, Al Vey. Those are two different names, just so you know. Wayne Foucher, Victor Olazaba, Scott Hepburn, Chris Botchlo, and Marcus Tu also did some of their own inks. Color artist Chris Helleran and Ian Herring. And then we got letterer of VC's Joe Sabino. So that was all on this issue, folks. So they doled out some dough for some work on this bad boy, and I wish it paid off in the storytelling. But
yeah, right.
Anyway, previously in Spider-Man Deadpool, Spider-Man teamed up with Deadpool to stop Chameleon, who was impersonating Deadpool, stealing weapons from abandoned SHIELD facilities, and also to keep Deadpool close so he'd be easier to send to jail. Deadpool teamed up with Spider-Man because he likes him and because Deadpool wanted to steal those weapons too. They followed Chameleon to a cache in Tabula Rasa where Chameleon escaped. Deadpool ran off with a huge score, and Spider-Man got trapped in the warehouse with ex-person and former SHIELD agent freelancer Husk. So that brings us here. And yeah, so if you read 26, that really has nothing to do with any of this that I can tell yet. I don't know if it will, because this series has been famous for kind of jumping around storylines. It started that way, and it seems to be continuing that way, at least currently. But the issue starts off in Area 14, and we have Deadpool and one of his associates who is kind of like half a man thing or a quarter a man thing. Both kind of masked in hologram bodies right now. SHIELD hologram things, they've been around. Just walking through the subdivision, kind of, not noticing there's people immediately following and noticing them right away, even though they have these disguises on to not be noticed. So that's we're in another issue where it's going to jump around a lot, and then we flash to the before events occurring. Now we get some hybrid smart brained sharks that are having a conversation to start. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah. Okay. Barbara and Dave or something? I forget their names. Bruce and
Deborah.
Bruce and Deborah.
Yeah. So these are super intelligent sharks that keep getting smarter, that apparently have been used as weapons by Deadpool. And now they're kind of developing plans to turn on Deadpool and kill him. So, unbeknownst to Deadpool, all that's occurring. While he's, walking through this facility, he's at Deadpool's helicarrier. And they are, having a discussion with this new team, kind of like a new Mercs team he's assembled. They all have different Deadpool logos on. Not the Mercs for money, just a different set of characters. One girl just basically says everything is a death trap throughout the entire issue. But the guy basically, that's a quarter man thing or has this man thing attached to him. I can't tell what's going on with that guy. He is basically like the accomplice that accompanies Deadpool throughout the issue. So he's kind of the important one to take out of this scene. And they're doing some research on some weapons that have led them to this Area 14 place. So Deadpool and him pull up to this house. They're trying to get in there. They immediately have people on their ass. And now we're flashing back and forth here. I'm not going to go through every time we flash back and forth. I'm going to stick to kind of the current events going on. And they get inside this house, and there are like robot people that are just going all crazy. They're LMDs, and they haven't been serviced. So they're going wonkers. This Area 14 is basically like a forgotten SHIELD area that houses weapons, right? All these different areas they've been stealing shit from.
Yeah, Deadpool, that's a big theme. That's a big theme in the regular Spider-Man right now, right? That's what his Uncle Aaron's doing. He's raiding these caches just like Deadpool. What
Yeah.
seems to be what everybody's doing.
Yeah, like so when Shield was disbanded, they really didn't put much thought into, taking care of any of the dangerous items they've been responsible for their entire existence. So it's
Even
basically been a free
helicarriers.
for all.
People
Yeah,
are
it feels
stealing
like in the Marvel
helicarriers.
universe. Deadpool has a
That's what
helicarrier, among other things. He's got a
his
Santa
home
sack
base
full
right
of
now.
weapons. He's
Yeah.
got a Santa sack that he pulls closed and they all like disappear, like it's Santa's fucking present sack. Eventually Spider-Man does catch up to him. This leads to a giant fight between Deadpool and Spider-Man. And I mean, this has been going back and forth all series. They hate each other. They love each other. It's like, the couple that you don't want to invite to your party, basically. And it all ends up leading to Spider-Man in front of Vault 22. So then we get this kind of runaround of what is inside Vault 22 and how you don't want to open it. Spider-Man unknowingly or kind of just stupidly opens it, which leads to like this giant monster that looks like it's from Doctor Strange, doesn't it?
What is it?
This giant monster that comes out of door 22, doesn't it look like something from Doctor Strange?
It looks I think it was the first arc or the second arc of
Doctor
Strange
too, which made me wonder.
Yeah, it was Chris Baccello, whatever. And it was the same monster, black and white stripes.
Yeah.
I think I have the issue.
It's kind of like a beetle. It's kind of like a Beetlejuice looking thing that's attacking them.
He fought it in another dimension.
Yeah. And Spider-Man and Deadpool are pretty much about to be dropped into the mouth of this thing when Deadpool starts pulling his swords out and just slicing it to bits. So then him and Spider-Man are discussing events on the ground. Basically, I mean, they've come to the agreement, at least momentarily, that they're gonna work together again, until Spider-Man has to take Deadpool to jail. All this ruckus that started with these two has the helicarrier full of fucking monsters and demons spilling out of all different places. I don't know. Deadpool's not taking care of things very well. But it all circles back to Spider-Man, and ends up getting this, I don't know, this device that he ends up stealing from Vault 22, because there was a door inside Vault 22 after this monster was killed. Deadpool didn't know about. So then Spider-Man is leaving the area and hands his mask to one of the kids. Do you see this kid's face? Is it just not colored? The one like next to the snowman?
The two kids, you mean? The little white girl?
Yeah.
No, it's colored.
Her hat's not colored. Her
like her
the
hat's
one that
the
ends
same
up
color of her coat, lighter.
I wonder if it's just the copy I got. Like I'm on page, let me see. Go to page 21. Are you on 21? Where it's ultimate Spider-Man pulls his mask off, it's revealed to be Chameleon. And that panel's not colored all the way. I'll snap a picture of it and send it to you here, because the only thing colored on this girl's face is her eyeball. Like she's got one blue eye and everything else is white.
So she's got like pale kind of. She's got kind of like I mean, she's got skin tone in mind, and then she's got the blonde hair, the pink hat, and blue eyes.
Okay, I'll send you the picture here on my my copy I downloaded. But so yeah, now is this at the very end, the very last page, Spider-Man or Chameleon? This is where I'm confused. I think it's Spider-Man, right?
I think it's Spider-Man, yeah, because they do show him web slinging.
Because he doesn't have this device. The girl he's with shows him basically what he needs, and shows him the picture of what Chameleon just stole. So the person working and fighting with Deadpool the entire time was Chameleon. Spider-Man realizes what he needs at the end of this issue, because he didn't make it, like you said, he didn't make an appearance till the very last panel in real time. And this girl shows him what Chameleon just stole. So it appears that Spider-Man is going to really have to team up with Deadpool now, the fake team up that happened this issue again before he takes him to jail, and they're gonna have to get this device. So yeah, that's where we're at.
He had that device. When he was going into that room, he pulled something that looked like that out of his pocket.
Chameleon?
I think so. I'm looking for it right now. One thing I did notice when I'm looking through this is that when the chameleon Spider-Man never used webs, not once in that whole entire fight to do anything.
I didn't realize that until you said so, but yeah.
I thought I saw him with his hands. I guess it might have been another issue or something. I don't know.
But yeah, that's how this issue concludes. You know, it wasn't off. It wasn't complete trash. I mean, but I didn't have a whole lot of fun reading it. I like I said, I like 26 a lot better. And I came into issue 27 expecting a continuation of what I just read. And this story just jumps around a lot, or this series just jumps around a lot, and it makes it hard to follow when you are interested in it, which is kind of my beef with it. Even when I was originally getting it, the Joe Kelly run in the very beginning, like it took to issue, I think 15 for him to wrap up his story. And I would say probably 5 to 6 of those issues weren't done by him. And they were like, just fill in random issues that had nothing to do with the story. So I think that's kind of what's going on here again, but the old man stuff will pick up somewhere down the line. I'm just not real into this chameleon stuff. I don't know. I don't hate Chameleon as a villain. I find him mildly interesting, but he's not doing it for me in the story. And like the book didn't come off as funny as I'd expect a jokey Spider-Man Deadpool book to come off. So I mean that's some of my beef with it. I want to lean towards Forget, I think, for this title, just because, like, I don't know, the story is hard to get into. There's a lot to it, and if you're coming in cold, kind of like I was, and willing to put in a little investment, but not go back to read every issue Legacy it has provided so far, which is 4 or 5. I wasn't interested enough after reading this to go back and read more. So I'm going to lean towards Forget for this one. I'm being tough this week, I guess, but I'm leaning towards Forget. And did you see that Twitter message I sent you? Did you get it yet?
Oh, no, let me look.
Okay. Well, you pull that up while you're talking.
Oh my God.
What do you think?
Dude, it's not colored. It's not colored at all. What the fuck?
Isn't it?
Hold on. Crazy? I'm gonna send you the one I got. Because she is fully colored in mine. That is bad. She's not colored at all. Her hat's not pink, her hair's not blonde.
Her hair, no skin color.
She's inked. How did that happen? You got a digital copy, right? Right there?
Yeah. I mean, I quote unquote got it from the dark net. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't pay for this copy because it was a review copy, but
that's weird. My copy doesn't look like that.
So pretty crazy. But what'd you think? Buy, borrow, or forget?
You know what? I think this last page took place before everything happened in this issue. Because do you see that device? I guess they're hiding in that place. At the end, Chameleon Spider-Man has it. And when he's like, thank you, Deadpool, for doing all the heavy lifting, he has that device in his hand.
Oh,
so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm a little confused at the timeline of this issue because they tell you before when you see Deadpool in the helicarrier with all his workers or whatever. But then you don't really get many updates as far as when everything else has taken place, which makes it confusing. So
it is a little confusing. And you know what? A lot of what's going on in this issue, it's like a direct continuation of the first 3 Legacy issues, because there was 3 issues. Then you got the Old Man Spider-Man and Old Man Deadpool issue. And that story is pretty much this story. It's like the same story. It's just like a new arc going forward or whatever. I guess it's going to be a long running thing. And it was, I don't know, those 3 issues were a lot like this issue, really. Spider-Man, I'm going to catch you. I'm going to take you in. But first we're going to go on this mission, blah, blah, blah. Deadpool loves Spider-Man. It's okay, I guess. It's like a Deadpool book featuring Spider-Man. I mean, the Chris Bichello art's pretty cool. I like his art. The colors are like a little muted, which I do enjoy his art more when he has a different colorist and he's not doing them himself. But it was cool. It was all right. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it. I didn't.
Yeah, I know. It was just there.
I caught up and read all 5 issues, the first 3 legacy issues, the last issue before this one and this one, and I fell asleep like halfway towards the end of the 3rd issue. And it's not that it was like super boring. It's just that I just, I guess I just didn't care.
Yeah, you didn't have an investment in it.
Yeah, and like I've read books that I didn't care about, and after I read them, I was like, oh man, I want to read this now. But this was not one of those books. I'm going to continue not to care. So I'm going to give this a forget altogether. They just 5 issues and they didn't grab me. The old folks home one was pretty funny. I think I might have read
I like that one a lot. And the story was even cool. Like, Spider-Man wants nothing to do with Deadpool.
Yeah.
Deadpool kind of sucks him into something and kind of puts the spirit back into Spider-Man, even though he was an old curmudgeon.
I love when
Peter's in a wheelchair. Like there's a few moments that that's enjoyable.
The walls. I like
when, where Deadpool's riding his wheelchair. I love that.
Yeah. I like when he pays all these people to create like a scene to get like old man Peter Parker back in action. Like these people are stealing. Like he had
someone stealing stuff. Yeah, Deadpool set it all up.
Yeah, he had people pretend to steal stuff so that Spider-Man would hop into action and want to go on an adventure again. Then he's paying people and he's like telling them how he's got millions. And they're like, you got millions and you live in this shitty old folks home? And he's like, yeah, I just want to be around my friend. Like he wanted to hang out with Peter. So he stays in this shitty old folks home with him.
Yeah. So if you're looking to check out a Spider-Man Deadpool issue, check out 26. But don't ask me when the next part of that series comes out. So you just have to stay on solicits and figure that out.
Definitely.
That'll be the next one we review with Spider-Man Deadpool, though. I'm going to let this chameleon stuff blow over because I'm not really into it. But we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with the Midpoint Marvelous Facts featuring 2 characters from our first section of books, Cassandra Nova and Chameleon. We got a C week here. So brought to you by C. Maybe I'll slide a Sesame Street ad in here, something. We'll be right back.